Thank you all for having me. I'm super excited. And thanks for everyone who stayed with us. It's been a long 3 hours, but I'm enjoying that every second. And it is amazing to be here with you all. I will share my screen. Wait. Can you see it? Oh,
Yes.
okay. Yeah, okay.
Is it
So, sorry?
Olivia, is it possible to make it full screen so we just see the image?
Isn't it not full screen? For me, it's full screen. Wait.
Right now.
Let me.
Try under view or.
What about now? Can you see it full screen?
Perfect. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. So I am a designer and a researcher and also a social entrepreneur. And when Mon asked me to join this meeting, I decided to wave the threads of all of my work through care. So I'm making a connection here through care of a bit of my ongoing projects. Those are all ongoing research and projects. And I believe that care encompasses really well the 4 main dimensions of cultural sustainability. Care already cares with its the interconnectedness, interdependence, and kin that we are all looking for. So I want you all to start with an imagination exercise. I want you to close your eyes and imagine someone who has taken care of you, someone who was by your side when you were sick, when you were heartbroken, when you were grieving, when you were vulnerable, or someone who was by your side when you were growing up, who fed you, who gave you shower, food, hugs, who supported you. Now I want you to open your eyes. Is this person a woman? For how many of you is this person a woman? I cannot really see you while I am presenting, but I want to know after. Let me know, please. But if you were in Brazil, it would be. In Brazil, women spend 29 hours a week on care work. That's twice as much as men. Those works are normally around household chores, taking care of kids, elders, sick or injured family. It is about cleaning, cooking, providing a home. It is a full-time job, almost 30 hours a week of unpaid work. Half of Brazilian mothers are single mothers, which make this work a bit harder. And 50%, half of them have to change jobs because of motherhood and because of that care work that is not being valued. Because of that, 30% or 1/3 of the women in Brazil today live below the poverty line. This figure is even higher among Black and brown women, which is 41.3%, almost half of our Black and brown women are today under the poverty line. And men are spending 10 hours a week on care work. Their wage are on average 20% higher than women's wage, and they have 20% more access to jobs. Now, my objective here is not to generate a conflict or a war between genders, but I want us all to acknowledge that we have a care crisis. We are not valuing enough the work of care, and we are not valuing the people who are spending their time with care, which is so much important. Olivia, what does this is even related? How is this related to fashion? Well, those numbers are directly related to fashion. We can see this in the industry because less than 20% of leadership positions in the fashion industry in Brazil are female. And meanwhile, 80% of factory workers are women. So if stores are producing clothes at faster and cheaper rates every day, it is because there is this whole industry that is based on women's labor exploitation. And in countries like Brazil, where thousands of women are not having access for decent jobs because of care work, this industry is exploiting them, is exploiting this low-cost labor. So we have a care crisis on one side, and we have an industry of exploitation on the other side, taking advantage of the caregivers. Let's go back a step. This is a map from Slow Factory acknowledging colonial roots. Here we can see goods, we can see machineries, consumer goods, we can see textiles, pharmaceuticals, weapons. And back then, in colonial times, Europe was considered to be in the center of the world, and everything else and everyone else was treated as a resource if it was a land, a piece of earth, and as a low-cost labor or even a slavery labor if it was a person, a culture, a local community. This map is still our textile roots. This map is still matches with our textile systems. So the system that has changed, has developed, it is not the same. We are not living in a colonial era anymore, but we are still living this very same system. The design, it is the same. So our clothes are being produced in the global south through the exploitation of materials and resources and the exploitation of women's hands. Then they are going to the global north where they are used, they are valued, they are used around 12 to 20 times, and then they are discarded as waste to the global south, to countries as Ghana or Argentina in Patagonia, where they are suffering from waste colonialism. So fashion is still exploiting people as labor, women as labor, and earth and land as resource. So fashion, it is this huge industry that has its roots in colonial exploitation, a system that is based on social and gender injustice, and that is a harmful social and environmental consequences. Today, fashion is the second largest generator of waste. It is one of the top 3 industries contributing to microplastics in the ocean and is directly linked to deforestation in the Amazon and Cerrado biomas and a lot of other biomas, but I will speak about those because they are here in Brazil. And my question is, how can we sustain culture? Because I was born in a Brazil where we used to wear organic cotton, laces, embroidery, crafts, and a lot of traditional techniques coming from our culture. But our domestic markets cannot compete with the cheap imports anymore. So colonialism and fashion have consequences that are going beyond sustainability. They're threatening local economies, cultures, and environments. And by exploiting and destroying these cultures, there's an immense source of wealth and knowledge that is being lost. We are just burning a library of reads, of books that we haven't yet read. In Brazil specifically, the monoculture of cotton that is supposed to be sustainable is burning Cerrado bioma and the Amazon as well. So, wait, can I go back one? Sorry. My question is, what are we missing? What if we could listen to the knowledge that fashion is erasing? What if we could listen to the cultures and to the local communities who are spending time with care? What do they have to say, and what are the kind of knowledge that we are missing? And I'm bringing here today 3 examples of 3 local communities in Brazil that are still working with crafts. We have more than 300 local communities working with crafts in Brazil, but I'll be quick and present 3 of them and a bit of the craft that they are developing. So I want to start with the saying by José. José is a seringueiro from Acre. A seringueiro is a person who takes the rubber from the rubber tree. And José has the saying that I believe it is exactly what we are missing. He says that the people of Acre always says that the rubber tree is like a mother. We take her milk to provide our children's milk. That's how I was raised. That's why I say I am a defender of the forest, because I don't cut down the forest. I depend on it to live. I think that's the kind of knowledge, the interconnectedness, the holistic, the interdependence that we are missing. Jose is taking care of nature because nature is taking care of him. It's acknowledging that we are all part of the same environment and we need to be more careful about each other. These Central Veredas, they are a group located and protecting the Cerrado bioma in Minas. They are a group of women only, and they are farmers and artisans who harvest their organic cotton with their own hands. They then spin, card, naturally dye, weave, and even embroider. And they're creating these completely handmade, chemical-free pieces. Those are pieces that are seed to soil, made in a circular way, without chemicals, with natural dyes, made from traditional knowledge, and providing financial independence to women in local communities. This is Banarte. This is a group of 30 women. They today are around 10, I think. They are located and protecting the largest preserved area of Atlantic forest in São Paulo. They use banana leaves, a renewable resource that would otherwise be discarded, and they weave the leaves, they dye them naturally, and they make the products by hand. And this is a technique that it is just fading away. We are losing this because today there are only 10 or 7 artisans. And I keep repeating these 3 examples. They are located and protecting Atlantic forests. They are located and protecting the Cerrado bioma. They are located and protecting the Amazon. Because local and indigenous communities today, they represent 5% of the population, but they receive less than 3% of climate finance. In recent years, Brazil has lost 1/3 of its natural areas, while in public forests that are reserved for indigenous and local communities, this number is less than 1%. So we need to acknowledge local and indigenous communities as the caregivers. They are safeguarding the remaining forests and the traditional knowledge that is still remaining. So their systems were circular, waste-free, and regenerative before those were even concepts coined in the West. Local and indigenous communities are the custodians of the knowledge that both circularity, regeneration, sustainability, and all those buzzwords that we use are seeking to develop while calling it innovation. The solutions are already there for a long time, and the custodians of those traditional knowledge and the safeguarders of the remaining forests are not being recognized as the experts for the sustainability knowledge. What is happening is that the concepts of sustainability, regeneration, and circularity that we are using today are not considering issues of care and therefore justice and reparation. And because of that, they can perpetuate and they are perpetuating colonial systems. So is sustainability possible without culture and care? And how can designers centralize care in the core of their practice to bring on more justice-oriented practices? And that brings me to the second part of my presentation. And here I'm going to introduce Projeto Fio, which is this social enterprise that I co-founded 6 years ago. And in Projeto Fio, we have this question with us all the time. So how can we bring care to our work? So Projeto Fio came from the idea and the acknowledgement that every day we choose clothes to wear and they are all made by women's hands. And every day we seem to forget that. So our starting point was to question, what if it could be the other way around? What if clothes could be made by valuing women and their traditional knowledge? So instead of perpetuating a sexist and exploitative system, instead of perpetuating a sexist and exploitative system, we work with fashion and crafts as tools for care and social change. We are a social enterprise with 2 work fronts. The first one is a social project teaching handmade embroidery to women in local communities in Rio de Janeiro. And we are promoting artisanal rodas and encounters, and we have partnerships with art therapists. And we are also creating handmade embroidery garments. And through them, through the creation and selling of those pieces, the embroiders can achieve their financial independence. So at the core of our initiative, it is the roda, which that in Romania is called a sesatuare. A roda or a sesatuare in English would mean a circle, a gathering, a meeting of women who are reunited, crafting together. Rodas are an important time for women to come together and discuss issues, problems, motherhoods, daily life, to share their stories, to craft their life, and to be full of care. Month that made that in Romania, rodas are also a moment where women were normally discussing and making decisions around politics, which for me made a lot of sense because that's the moment where we are working in interconnectedness, interdependence, and collective. And coming from those rodas, we are developing the embroiders, which are normally illustrating Brazilian native species, and our pank, which are non-conventional food plants, just like in this picture. And we are normally discussing topics through sharing stories, plants, embroidery, cooking recipes, and then through those discussions, we are developing our drawings and our collections. And they normally explore traditional cultural expressions and the cultural heritage and identity of Brazil. We work in partnerships with social projects. So we started in the community of Porto, going to the community, and then we moved to SAU, the Center of Crafts. We have an ongoing partnership with the Balacas Social, where artisans also have encounters around art therapy. And we also have a project going on with the Casa das Mulheres da Maré, in Maré, which is a local community here in Brazil, here in Rio, and where those women can also have access to lawyers, to psychologists, to other kinds of groups and encounters about gender and social-political aspects. This one of the group, the original group in Tijuquinha, and this is the original group in Maré. Nowadays, we are a whole group of around 40 artisans. So our main pillars, and this is an ongoing project that is going for 6 years now, but those are the pillars. What I want to bring here are the pillars and the questions that we always bring with us, because I think that when we are working with crafts and with artisanship and at the same time selling, and we are developing partnerships between designers and artisans, we can have a lot of controversial discussions, and we do have a lot of we are still developing the way that we work together, and this is always something that we are constructing. It is not something that is done, and that's also something that it's beautiful about our name, because it is a project, it is something that is ongoing, that we never exactly finish. And that's the nice thing about it. We are looking more about the process than the results, not the outcomes, but our network. We believe that one of the main pillars is the autonomy. So while the fashion market, it is demanding the automation of production, we are insisting on the other way around. Our pace is dictated by the hand's time and the artisan's life. So the artisan is deciding which pieces they want to embroider in the time, place, and way that is best for them, and how many pieces they want to develop. And if they are developing it from their homes and taking care of their child, and how they're doing it, and what are the stitches that they are using. So they have this completely autonomy to decide, and they are also deciding what is the cost of each embroider, how much it's going to cost. So we believe that crisis cannot be solved by following the models and the methods that created them. We need to invent, and we need to come out with different models. And another important pillar for us is the decentralization of wealth and profits. So we are a social enterprise, and we believe that making a profit, it is not our primarily goal. We do sell, so we do make profits sometimes, but our main goal is to make a social impact. Our compromise is with the artisans and the network that we are all creating together. So when we do make a profit, we decide together as a group whether to reinvest it in the project itself and in the rodas, in the classes and everything, or if we're going to share it between everyone. The other main pillar is transparency. So we believe in decreasing not just the gap between designers and artisans, but the gap between artisans and consumers. So each piece that we developed is hand signed by the artisan who embroidered it, and they are always sharing their life stories and their professional contact details on the Projeto Fio's website and on our social media. And 1 month after receiving a piece, the customer received an email inviting them to write a letter to the artisan who made it. We believe that it's important that the consumer also have this acknowledgement and this feeling that there is a woman and there are hands behind the process and behind the clothing that they are wearing, and to remember this, that there is always a woman behind it. We believe that our clothes should cross generations, and embroideries are made to last, so therefore they can be repaired and increase their longevity. And fabrics and the threads leftovers are used as supplies for our rodas, the classes, and workshops. And that way we are always looking for a more circular and waste-free system. A thread, it is a connection between two worlds. Embroidery allows artisans to learn a therapeutic technique, to be part of support and a network group, and to gain their financial independence through a justice-oriented system. Projeto Fio is this year celebrating 6 years and many accomplishments. We have selling points today in São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. We've won some sustainable awards. We've been through scaling programs. We have an e-commerce that it's shipping to all over the country. We had selling points in Europe at a point. We are giving lectures and workshops on sustainability and fashion events. But mainly we have a caring network of over 40 women, 40 artisans, and that's our main objective, to take care of this network. This is one of the pictures, one of our first pictures together. Today we are a group of 40 women, and I am launching in the next months, I hope, a research around justice-oriented partnerships between designers and artisans. And to end up with, I wanted to show a quick video from one of the artisans. This is Josie, and this video is from the COVID times. We were doing crowdfunding, and this video was for that. So Josie is telling a bit about her experience with Projeto Fio.
Meu nome é Rosimar, me conhece como Rose. Eu sou do Maranhão e já trabalho no Fio há 3 anos e meio e tô adorando. A minha família que eu fiz aqui começou com meus filhos no projeto, fazendo eles, e sempre eu via as meninas fazendo coisas aqui sem saber o que era. Eu fui correr atrás dela. Me formei com a Suzana, e a Suzana foi a porta-voz, né? Eu fiquei tão feliz que eu achava, olhava assim a Suzana cortando, me aprendeu um ponto, eu ficava assim, bordado para mim é tudo, porque eu estou na facilidade de estar trabalhando de casa e cuidando dos meus filhos. É o trabalho que eu quero, não quero fazer mais outro. Então, assim, o bordado para mim é a minha fonte de renda. Quando aparece peças novas, eu fico de não conseguir, como tem todas as meninas para ajudar, e a gente fica uma incomodando a outra, né? Tipo, chamando toda hora. Então, fica bem legal. É um trabalho muito bom. Para mim, eu adoro. É um trabalho que sou satisfeita.
just so you can have a bit of their words as well. In our social media, you can find more, but it's not with subtitles in English. So I think, wait, that was me. Thank you all. Thank you for
Thank
staying.
you, Olivia. That's an amazing achievement for such a young woman you are. Beautifully executed and very novel also in the way you are bringing in care as a component, which I haven't heard until now so much. So that is very innovative. This has been the most